In this lecture, we will look at how Christianity emerged as a religion on its own, distinct from Judaism and other existing religious traditions. Celsus of Alexandria, the 2nd century Greek philosopher, accused Christianity of offering cheap grace by calling on the sinners rather than the pure and the wise. He misinterpreted the Christian teaching on forgiveness of sinners by God as cheap grace. The teaching of Christianity on divine dealings with humanity was fundamentally different from the Greco-Roman religious tradition from which Celsus was commending. The belief in the incarnation of a divine in human form to redeem sinful humanity was foolishness to them. The Christian claim on the divinity of Christ was also considered a blasphemy among the Jews. Though Christianity emerged from within Judaism, it soon became apparent that the two were different. The two religious traditions, Judaism and Greco-Roman, provided the key religious background in which early Christianity took shape. Christianity began as a fellowship of a spirited band of Jesus' faithfuls who called themselves as followers of the way. In the course of time, people began to refer to this community as Christians, a name that bears testimony to the fundamental claim of Jesus of Nazareth as the Christ, or Messiah, that the Jews had been waiting for. This rootedness of the Christian faith in the Jewish messianic expectation, coupled with the fact that Jesus and his disciples were all Jews, meant that during its early existence, Christianity was seen as a branch of Judaism. Christianity's association with Judaism was helpful in introducing Christianity in many places where there was already a Jewish community. The network of Jewish diaspora spread throughout the Roman Empire was a channel through which Christianity had its first thrust of growth. The early Christians looked to the temple at Jerusalem as a place of worship. They observed the Jewish laws, including circumcision. They also considered themselves as Jews. However, this location of Christianity within the Jewish religion was made untenable in the light of Jewish hostility towards the Christian faith. The Jews not only rejected the messiahship of Jesus, but also persecuted the followers of the way. Christianity, drifting away from Judaism and becoming a separate religion, was further aided by the influx of Gentile converts into the Christian community, in what was indicative of the change in the composition of the church by the end of the apostolic period. It is interesting to note that all the New Testament writers, except Luke, were Jews. On the other hand, from the 2nd century onwards, we are not in the know of any Jewish Christian writers. Thus it is safe to state that in the course of the 1st century itself, the Christian population became less of Jewish converts and more of Gentile converts. This change created a situation whereby the continuity of Christianity as a branch of Judaism was put in the dock. The key question in contention was the important matter of the continuing observance of the Jewish laws. A group known as Judaizers were insisting that Gentile converts should subject themselves to the observance of the Jewish law. The debate came to a head in the discussion on the issue of circumcision. In a very significant decision, the Council of Jerusalem made the decision to relax the circumcision requirement on the Gentiles. The conversation on the continuity and discontinuity with Judaism, however, did not end with the Council of Jerusalem. A group of Judaizers, known as the Ebionites, refused to accept the decision of the council. They insisted that all converts, including that of the Gentile converts, must observe the Jewish law. They also regarded Jesus as the Messiah, though they rejected his divinity. They thought that the Holy Spirit descended on Jesus at his baptism and left him on the cross. On the other extreme were those who wanted Christianity to have nothing to do with the Jewish faith. A certain Marcion was one of the key proponents of this view. He thought that the God of the Old Testament was bad, angry, and weak, and was therefore different from the good God of Christianity, who was full of love. Thus he rejected the Old Testament from Christian use. In the course of its development, Christianity rejected both the extremes and chose the middle path paved by the Council of Jerusalem. Christianity thus emerged as a distinct religion, separated from Judaism, yet deeply rooted in the prophetic tradition of Judaism. The initial center of Christianity was Jerusalem. It was here that the disciples of Jesus waited until the Pentecost experience. In the event of the Pentecost outpouring of the Holy Spirit, people coming from different parts of the world heard the gospel in their own tongues, as recorded in Acts 2 verse 4. Some of these people might have been the ones that first took the gospel to their own hometowns. However, even after the Pentecost, Christianity did not move beyond the Jewish confines. Jerusalem remained the center of the Christian faith. The apostles formed the core leadership. Peter seems to have been the earliest acknowledged spokesman. Later, James, the brother of Jesus, seems to have become the head of the Christian community in Jerusalem. The persecution related to the stoning of Stephen acted as a catalyst to disperse the Christian community to various places in the Roman Empire and beyond. In the process, they took the faith to these places. Philip the deacon converted the inhabitants of Samaria. Ananias founded the church at Damascus. Others congregated at Antioch. And it was here that the followers of Jesus were for the first time addressed as Christians. Antioch also became the mission center of extensive missionary journeys of Paul and his accomplices. Tradition says that through the ministry of Paul, Christianity reached possibly as far as Spain, the western boundary of the Roman Empire. However, he was not the only one making such efforts. Early Christian tradition has it that the disciples of Jesus pioneered mission work in many parts of the world. During the lifetime of the apostles themselves, Christianity had spread throughout the Mediterranean world and beyond. Tradition has it that the Christian faith has spread to Russia in the north, India in the east, Spain in the west, and Ethiopia in the south. As Christianity spread beyond the confines of Judaism, it came in contact with various cultures, especially the Hellenistic culture. Sincere Christian effort to appropriate the Christian faith in the light of the cultural environment resulted in even peculiar forms of Christianity, some of which the early church had to condemn as heretical. For instance, a certain 2nd century Christian group, whom modern scholars called Gnostics, taught a brand of Christianity that tried to reconcile Christian doctrine with Greek dualistic understanding of the world. One of their teachings was that Christ, being from the spiritual world, cannot take material or human form. Thus, Christ's incarnation was not real physical form. It just appears to be, also known as Docetism. In the 4th century, a certain Arius of Alexandria was unable to reconcile the fact that Christ, a divine, could suffer. He seems to have come to this understanding based on the Greek philosophical concept of theoprepis, which states that there are some human characteristics, like for instance suffering, which cannot be attributed to God. Thus he opined that Christ was only a creature. Also emerged out of the idea of dualism and theoprepis was the controversy on the divine and human nature of the incarnate Christ. A certain Nestorius took the extreme view that the two natures of Christ remained distinct from each other in the incarnate Christ. This view emerged out of the inability to accept that the divine and human nature could come together without defiling the former by the latter. The teachings of those noted above were all condemned by the early church as heretical. Cultural appropriation is essential to make sense of the faith in any given context. However, the experience of the early church is indicative that there is a thin line of divide between critical contextualization and heresy.